her uniform stained with red wine. A mop slammed into her hands, laughter erupting around her as she was called just the help and told to stay out of sight. She was treated like dirt, as if her presence soiled the crystal air of the elite, dismissed without a name, a face, or a future. But what they didn't know, what no one saw coming, was that the maid they mocked had been silently gathering every secret, every fraud, every scandal they buried. Their empire collapsed overnight. The place was a fortress of wealth. Marble floors stretching endless, chandeliers dripping gold, walls lined with paintings that screamed old money. The Carlyles ruled it all, a family woven deep into politics and business, their name a ticket to power. Vivian slipped in as their new housemaid, 30-something, her dark hair tied back, her gray uniform plain as dirt. She was beautiful, sharp cheekbones, deep brown eyes, but nobody noticed. To them, she was a shadow, moving quiet through their world. She started 6 months back, and it was brutal from day one. Victoria Carlyle, the lady of the house, strutted around in silk robes, barking orders like Vivian was a machine. "Scrub the foyer again! Those tiles aren't gleaming!" She'd snap, even when they sparkled. Her daughter, Brooke, was worse. All sharp heels and sharper tongue, 25 and dripping entitlement. "Don't touch my bags! You'll smudge them!" She'd hiss, shoving past Vivian like she was furniture. The guests were no better. Senators, CEOs, folks with private jets, barely glancing at her as they demanded fresh drinks or complained the silverware wasn't spotless. Vivian took it all, head down, voice soft, hands steady. It went on like that. Endless days of fetching, cleaning, bowing. Victoria once made her redo a 5-course dinner setup because a napkin was off-center. Brooke screamed when Vivian accidentally bumped her purse. "You're lucky I don't fire you myself!" The staff whispered she wouldn't last. But Vivian stayed, her calm unshaken, her silence a steel thread nobody saw. A tray of crystal glasses was snatched from Vivian's hands by Brooke one afternoon. The delicate stems smashed onto the marble floor just to watch her scramble. "Oops, too heavy for you?" Brooke taunted, her heels clicking as she laughed, the shatter echoing through the foyer. Glass shards cut into Vivian's palms as she knelt to clean, blood mixing with the mess. But no apology came, only Victoria's sharp voice from the stairs. "You'll pay for those, clumsy fool!" Vivian stayed silent, her hands steady despite the sting, their cruelty a whip cracking over her bowed head. She polished their world while they walked over her, invisible unless they needed something, or someone, to kick. A bucket of soapy water was dumped over Vivian's head by Victoria one evening, right in front of a gaggle of elite guests lounging in the parlor, the suds soaking her uniform and dripping onto the rug. "That's what you get for missing a spot!" Victoria barked, her silk robe swishing as the room erupted in laughter, a senator slapping his knee. "She's a drowned rat now!" Brooke smirked, snapping a photo. "Perfect for the help's scrapbook." Vivian stood there, drenched and cold, wiping her face with a steady hand, their jeers a storm she weathered without a word. Then came the party. The mansion glowed that night, packed with the city's elite. Tuxedos, gowns, diamonds, flashing like stars. Vivian moved through it, tray in hand, pouring wine with precision. The air buzzed with deals and laughter, the Carlyles holding court. She was refilling a glass when her elbow caught a woman's arm, some hotshot businesswoman named Diane Kessler. All blonde hair and a $20,000 dress. A plate of hors d'oeuvres was shoved into Vivian's chest by Diane during the party, right before the wine spill, the greasy appetizers smearing her gray dress as the crowd tittered. "Carry it right or don't bother," Diane snapped, her blonde hair tossing as she turned to her friends. "She's a walking disaster. Look at her." Victoria stormed over. Clean yourself up. You're a disgrace. While Brooke hooted, She's the stain now. Vivian brushed the crumbs off, her movements calm, her silence a shield against their vicious glee, the room's eyes burning into her. Red wine splashed down the white silk, a dark stain spreading fast. The room froze. Then Diane erupted. People like you don't belong in a place like this! She roared, her voice cutting through the chatter. Heads turned, eyes wide. Look what you've done, you clumsy, useless thing! Vivian stood there, tray steady, wine dripping to the floor, her face blank. Victoria stormed over, her heels clicking like gunfire. What is wrong with you? You've embarrassed us in front of everyone! She yelled, loud enough to echo off the walls. Brooke smirked, arms crossed. She's a disaster. Get her out. Diane waved her ruined dress. I should sue you for this! The crowd joined in. Snickers, gasps, murmurs of, who let her in? A wad of cash was flung at Vivian's face by Richard after the wine spill, the bills slapping her cheek as he roared from across the room. That's for the dress. Now get lost. The crowd cheered, a woman in pearls shouting, Pay up, maid! While Brooke clapped, She's worth less than that. Victoria sneered, Take it and crawl out. You've ruined enough. Vivian caught the money midair, her fingers steady, her brown eyes unblinking, their laughter a hammer pounding her down. But she didn't bend, just tucked it into her apron and kept cleaning. Vivian didn't flinch, just bent to clean the spill, her silence louder than their noise. The humiliation burned bright. A senator chuckled, Guess they're hiring off the street now. A woman in pearls muttered, She's got no business here. Victoria grabbed Vivian's arm, dragging her toward the kitchen. You're done tonight. Stay out of sight, she hissed, shoving her through the door. Brooke called after, Don't come back till you learn your place. The laughter followed her, a wave of scorn from people who'd never scrubbed a floor. A mop was thrust into Vivian's hands by Victoria as the party wound down, her voice shrill as she shoved her toward the spill. Wipe it up, you useless thing! Do something right for once! Guests lingered, a CEO muttering, She's not even good at that. While Brooke kicked the mop bucket closer, splashing Vivian's legs. Hurry up, Snail. Diane smirked. Should have fired her ages ago. Pathetic! Vivian gripped the mop, water pooling around her feet, her uniform a mess of wine and grease, but she didn't snap, just started wiping, their hate a weight she carried without a sound. Vivian stood in the shadows, wiping her hands, her eyes steady, no tears, no words. Later, when the party died down and the mansion hushed, Vivian slipped into a small room off the east wing. She locked the door, pulled a burner phone from her apron, and dialed. Her voice shifted, low, sharp, commanding. It's time. Move the assets tomorrow. On the wall hung a map, red thread linking names. Carlyle Holdings, Novalink, offshore banks. She traced a line with her finger, her gaze cold, calculating. This wasn't a maid's hideout. It was a war room. She wasn't just Vivian, the nobody. She was something else entirely. Next morning, the Carlyles gathered in the oak-paneled study. Victoria, Brooke, and Patriarch Richard, all crisp suits and smug grins. Richard puffed a cigar. Novalink's our golden ticket. $500 million stake, and they're begging for us. Victoria nodded. We'll lock it down today. Our biggest move yet. Brooke flipped her hair. I'll be running that boardroom soon. They didn't know Vivian was in the next room, dusting shelves, ear to the wall. They didn't know Novalink wasn't some distant prize. It was hers. Under a legal alias, she'd built it from nothing. A Southeast Asian empire worth billions, 10 times the Carlyle fortune. She owned the game they thought they were playing. Her story went deeper, darker. 20 years back, her father, Charles Lancaster, had been a journalist. relentless, digging into the Carlyles' dirty laundry. Corruption, laundering, bribes, he'd had it all. Pages of proof. Then came the accident. A car crash on a rainy night, brakes cut, no witnesses. Vivian was 13, watching her mother, a Carlyle maid, crumble when they fired her after. Grief took her mom a year later, leaving Vivian an orphan, her family shattered by the Carlyles' hands. She'd vowed then, in that cold orphanage, to unravel them, not with screams, but with silence. There was more. The Carlyles loved their PR stunts, adopting little Mia, a 6-year-old orphan, parading her at events like a trophy. "Our angel," Victoria cooed to the press, all fake tears and photo ops. They didn't know Mia was Vivian's niece, daughter of her sister, Lily, who'd worked for them too. Lily died mysteriously, a fall down the mansion stairs, no investigation. Vivian took the maid job for one reason: to stay close, to shield Mia from the vipers who'd killed her mom. Every dusted shelf, every poured drink was a step closer to that promise. Days rolled on, tension brewing. Richard signed papers for Novalink, grinning like he'd won. Vivian kept her routine, scrubbing, serving, listening. Then Victoria caught her near Mia's room, eyes narrow. "What are you doing? You're fired! Get out!" She grabbed her phone, dialing security. "Remove her now!" 2 guards strode in, but instead of grabbing Vivian, they stopped, heads bowed. "We're ready when you are, ma'am," one said, voice firm. Victoria's hand froze mid-air, her face draining white. Vivian had replaced every guard over months. 6 years of planning, piece by piece, her net tightening. The next night, the Carlyles hosted a press gala, cameras flashing, reporters buzzing, a stage set for their glory. Richard took the mic. "Our family's legacy is unmatched. Business, charity, leadership." The crowd clapped, all smiles. Then the screens flickered. A woman stepped forward. Vivian, in her plain gray dress, no makeup, no fanfare. She plugged a drive into the projector, and the room went dead quiet. Documents flashed up. Tax fraud, fake charities, bribe logs. Years of Carlyle filth. Undeniable. Raw, she spoke, voice steady, cutting. "I was the daughter of Charles Lancaster, the man you had killed. You took my family, my home, my sister. I chose silence. Because sometimes silence is the loudest scream." The screens blazed with Charles and Gwen's old articles. Headlines screaming Carlyle corruption, his handwriting scrawled on margins, proof he'd did for their sins. And the crowd's gasps turned to roars as Vivian's voice cut through, naming him her father. Richard's cigar hand shook, his empire's bloodstains now public, every bribe he'd buried rising like ghosts to choke him. Victoria's silk robe seemed a rag as she stared. The maid she'd drenched, revealed as the daughter of their victim, her power a mirror they couldn't shatter. Brooke's photo of Vivian's soaked uniform flashed in her mind, a cruel joke now turned on her, the truth a thunderclap that left them reeling. The crowd gasped, cameras whirring. Richard's cigar fell, Victoria's pearls clutched tight. Brooke's smirk gone. Evidence piled high. Offshore accounts, forged signatures, a hit order from '98 with Richard's initials. Vivian didn't raise her voice, didn't gloat, just laid it bare. Her brown eyes locked on them. Chaos hit fast. Reporters swarmed, shouting questions. "Is this true?" "Who's she?" The Carlyles stammered. "Lies! Fabrication!" But the proof was ironclad. 6 years of Vivian's work, every file a dagger. Richard's face twisted as Vivian's evidence hit the screens, his cigar dropping as he realized every dollar he'd chased was a speck next to her empire. He'd thrown cash at a woman who could have bought his life 100 times over, and now he'd lost it all. A photo of Lily flickered up next. Vivian's sister, young and smiling, then a death certificate stamped accidental fall, followed by payroll records showing her as their maid, the dates lining up with Mia's birth. The crowd hushed, then erupted as Vivian pointed to Mia. "She's my niece! Your angel was my blood!" Victoria's fake tears from press ops turned sour, her trophy child a lie she'd flaunted, now a chain around her neck. Brooke's smug grin from parading Mia at galas vanished. She'd mocked the aunt while cuddling the niece, and the room's cheers drowned her out, Vivian's truth a blade through their facade. Victoria's pearls snapped in her grip, her sobs choked by the truth that the maid she'd drenched owned more than her dreams, her dynasty crumbling under Vivian's quiet hand. Brooke's heels wobbled as she stared, her smirk a memory. Novalink's billions made her $500 million boast a child's game, and the press swarmed. Her ruin live for the world. Their greed had blinded them, and Vivian's justice cut deeper than any blade. Their empire dust at her feet. Then came the kicker. "Novalink's pulling out," Vivian said, casual as breathing. "Oh, and I own it. Every cent." Novalink's logo flashed huge. A corporate titan Vivian had birthed, its billions scrolling in real time, dwarfing the Carlyle's measly fortune as the press shouted, "She owns it all!" Richard's $500 million deal crumbled to ash. He'd groveled to a shadow he'd mocked, his cigar a prop in a play she'd written. Victoria's shriek pierced the air. "That's impossible!" But the numbers didn't lie. Her maid's wealth a tidal wave washing their legacy away. Brooke's heels clicked as she backed up, her boardroom dreams a fantasy against Vivian's reality. The crowd's applause a hymn to her silent reign. Their downfall a song they couldn't mute. Richard's jaw dropped. Victoria choked. Brooke blinked like she'd been slapped. Vivian's wealth, billions, a titan's fortune, made their $500 million deal a joke. The room spun, their empire cracking. Police lights flashed outside within hours. Assets frozen, warrants issued. The guards stepped forward, uniforms crisp, faces stone. Vivian's army, planted over years, now flanking her as the screens showed security logs with their names, her 6-year chess game laid bare. Richard bellowed, "You work for me!" But they didn't budge, one muttering, "Not anymore, sir," their loyalty a knife in his gut. Victoria's call to fire Vivian hung in the air, a joke now. She'd trusted her castle to a woman who'd already claimed it. Brooke's scream, "She's nothing!" died as the crowd chanted Vivian's name, her silent takeover a crown they'd never steal, their power stripped by the maid they'd crushed. Richard yelled into a phone, "Fix this!" But his lawyers were already bailing. Victoria sobbed, "We're ruined." Brooke tried to slip out, but reporters blocked her, her heels useless now. The guards, Vivian's guards, stood watch, loyal to her, not them. Mia ran to Vivian, hugging her leg, and Vivian knelt, whispering, "You're safe now?" The Carlyles didn't know Mia was Lily's girl, didn't know Vivian had played them all. The fallout was swift. Investigations tore through Carlyle Holdings, tax evasion, fraud, murder ties. Richard faced cuffs, Victoria lost her charities. Brooke's socialite crown crumbled. Their mansion went dark, gates locked, a relic of greed. Vivian didn't take a dime. She handed the evidence over, walked away clean. She'd kept her sister's promise. Protect Mia, expose the rot. No glory, no throne, just justice, quiet and cold. Weeks later, Vivian stood on a country road, Mia's hand in hers. No mansion, no guards, just a simple dress and a kid with Lily's smile. They walked toward a small house, plain, peaceful, hers. The Carlyles were headlines now, their power dust. Vivian didn't need to shout her win. She'd buried them with patience, love, and a mind sharper than their blades. The sun dipped low, and Mia laughed, free at last. Sometimes the quiet ones break the loudest empires. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.